The first time Evelyn ever said no, she was 71 years old and standing in the middle of her own kitchen with a bowl of potato salad in her hands. It was the 4th of July, 2023, and the backyard already smelled of charcoal and cut grass. Her daughter Melissa had arrived with the grandchildren an hour earlier, arms full of store-bought pies because nobody has time to bake anymore, Mom. Evelyn had smiled the way she always smiled, lips together, eyes soft, the smile that had carried her through 48 years of marriage, 3 children, 2 miscarriages, 1 war, and a husband who died in the recliner while watching Jeopardy with the sound off. Melissa was on the phone in the dining room, voice bright and loud. "Yes, of course we'll be there. St. Thomas, 10 days, all-inclusive. The kids are so excited. No, Mom's not coming. She says cruises make her seasick, remember?" A pause, then laughter. Honestly, she'd just worry about the cost the whole time. Better she stays home and waters the plants. Evelyn stood very still, wooden spoon dripping mayonnaise back into the bowl. She'd never told Melissa she was seasick. She'd never been on a cruise. What she had done was hand over $23,000 the previous October so that Melissa and her husband Trent could get ahead after Trent's landscaping business hit a slow season. The money had come from the CD Evelyn cashed in early, the one meant to replace the roof when it finally gave out. The roof was still leaking in 2 places, patched with tarps the color of old teeth. She carried the potato salad outside where the grandchildren were chasing each other with sparklers. Trent was manning the grill in a new Patagonia vest that probably cost more than Evelyn's monthly pension. He waved a pair of tongs at her. "Ev, babe, can you grab another bag of those briquettes from the garage? And maybe some more of that craft IPA, we're almost out." She set the bowl on the picnic table. "No," she said. The word floated out soft as dandelion fluff, almost lost under the sizzle of meat and the children's shrieks. Trent didn't hear. Melissa was still inside on the phone. Evelyn tasted the word again, silently this time, letting it settle on her tongue like communion wine. No. It was the first time in 54 years she had refused anyone anything. She was 17 the first time she learned the shape of yes. Her mother had needed help with the younger kids after Daddy left for Korea and never came home the same. Evelyn quit the cheer squad, took the night shift at the diner, handed every paycheck over without being asked. "Yes, Mama. Yes, of course. Yes, I'm fine." At 22, she married Richard because he asked on the 3rd date and her mother said, "A girl doesn't get many chances like this." "Yes, Richard. Yes, I'll move to Ohio. Yes, I'll learn to cook meatloaf the way your mother does." At 29, she said yes to staying home when Melissa came early and colicky, yes to cloth diapers and no to the library job she'd been offered, yes to Richard's bowling nights, yes to his fishing trips, yes to the camper he bought the year the furnace died. Yes was the only word that kept the world spinning smoothly. Even after Richard's heart attack at 64, even after the funeral where everyone told her how lucky she was to have such devoted children, even after the kids sat her down with coffee and sympathetic faces to explain that selling the house and moving into the granny flat behind Melissa's new McMansion would be best for everyone, yes still came easily. It was a small flat, really just a converted garage with a hot plate and a bathroom the size of a closet. But it had its own entrance, and Melissa said it would give Evelyn privacy. Privacy turned out to mean that Evelyn could hear every argument through the thin walls, every complaint about money, every time Trent roared at the kids or Melissa cried about how stressed she was. Privacy also meant Evelyn was the built-in babysitter, the emergency loan officer, the one who paid for gymnastics and orthodontia and the Disney trip because you're not using the money for anything else, are you, Mom? She kept saying yes because that's what mothers do. Because love looks like sacrifice. Because if she ever said no, they might stop needing her, and being needed was the only identity she had left. But on that 4th of July, something inside Evelyn quietly snapped, not with a loud crack, but with the soft pop of a soap bubble. She looked at the bowl of potato salad she'd made from scratch at 6 that morning. She looked at the leaking roof she could see from the patio. She looked at her granddaughter Lily, age 9, who had asked last week if Grandma could please buy her the American Girl doll with the horse because Mommy says we can't afford extras right now. Evelyn walked back into the house, past Melissa still chirping about St. Thomas, past the refrigerator covered in save-the-date magnets for weddings she would pay for, past the calendar where someone had written, "Mom, deposit $4K for patio reno," in red ink. She went into the granny flat, closed the door, and for the first time in 20 months, turned the deadbolt. Then she sat down on the edge of her narrow bed and waited to see what would happen. What happened was silence at first, then confusion, then outrage. Trent knocked 20 minutes later. "Ev, the coals are dying out here. Where'd you go?" She didn't answer. Melissa tried next, voice syrupy. "Mom, everything okay? You're missing the fireworks." Still nothing. The grandchildren were sent as emissaries. Lily's small voice, "Grandma, Daddy says if we don't eat soon, the hamburgers will be ruined." Evelyn pressed her lips together and felt the word no settle deeper, like a seed finding purchase in barren soil. Eventually, Melissa used her key. The door opened a cautious inch and her daughter's face appeared, flushed from sun and 2 margaritas. "Mom, seriously, what are you doing? Everyone's waiting." Evelyn looked up. She was surprised at how steady her voice sounded. "I'm not coming back out. I'm tired. I'm going to rest." Melissa laughed, the short, sharp bark of someone who has never been refused. "Don't be ridiculous. It's a holiday. Come on." "No." There it was again, louder this time. The seed cracked open. Melissa's smile faltered. "What do you mean, no?" "I mean, I made the food. I watched the kids all week so you could go to the lake. I paid for the meat on that grill and the tequila in your cup. Tonight, I'm not doing anything else." Trent appeared behind Melissa, towering and red-faced. "Evelyn, we have 20 people out there." "Then you'd better get moving," she said, and gently, deliberately closed the door in their faces. She locked it again, sat back down, listened to the muffled explosion of disbelief on the other side. They tried everything that night. Guilt. After everything we've done for you, living here rent-free? Anger. This is insane. You're acting like a child. Bargaining. Just come out for dessert and we'll talk later. Even tears, Melissa's specialty. Evelyn could hear the practiced sobs through the wall. She sat in the dark and felt decades of yeses sliding off her shoulders like an old coat, finally, mercifully discarded. At 11:30, the last car pulled away. She listened to the crunch of gravel, the slam of doors, the angry rev of Trent's truck. Then silence, thick and sweet as cream. She slept better than she had in years. The next morning, she unplugged the landline, turned off her cell phone, and drove to the bank when it opened at 9. Mrs. Delgado, the branch manager who had known Evelyn since the Nixon administration, looked concerned when Evelyn asked to be removed from the joint checking account she shared with Melissa for convenience. "Are you certain, Mrs. Carter? Your daughter has been a signatory for 12 years. "I'm certain," Evelyn said, and signed her name with a hand that did not shake. She closed the savings account that had been raided so often it now held less than $2,000. She opened a new one in her name only. She requested a new debit card and asked that the old cards linked to Melissa and Trent be deactivated immediately. Mrs. Delgado hesitated. "There will be consequences. Overdrafts, perhaps?" "Let them overdraft," Evelyn said, and the words tasted like cold, clear water. By noon, she was home again. The main house was empty. Melissa had taken the kids to her sister's for the day, no doubt to regroup and strategize. Evelyn made herself a cup of tea and sat at the kitchen table that was no longer hers to clean. She opened her ancient laptop and began to type. She wrote about the cruise she would never be invited on. She wrote about the roof that still leaked. She wrote about the Christmas morning she spent alone because the kids decided last minute to do a Disney cruise, but don't worry, Mom, we'll FaceTime. She wrote until the words blurred and her shoulders ached. Then she saved the document under the title, My Money, My Life, and emailed it to Melissa with no subject line. The reply came within 4 minutes. Mom, this is an overreaction. We're a family. Families help each other. Call me immediately so we can fix this. Evelyn did not call. Instead, she walked to the granny flat, packed one suitcase, and called a cab. She checked in to the Holiday Inn by the highway under her own name and paid with the new debit card. The clerk handed her a plastic key and said, "Welcome, Mrs. Carter. Enjoy your stay." She did. For 6 days, she did nothing but sleep, read library books, and eat pancakes at the complimentary breakfast. She kept her phone off. She did not check email. She discovered she could sit in the lobby for hours, watching people come and go without anyone needing her for anything. On the 7th day, she took the shuttle to the senior living campus she had once toured and dismissed because Melissa said, "We could never put you in a place like that." The sales director, a kind woman named Paula, showed her a 1-bedroom with a tiny balcony that looked out on maple trees. The rent was almost exactly what Melissa and Trent had been borrowing each month. "I'll take it," Evelyn said. "You'll want to think about it," Paula cautioned. "It's a big decision." "I've thought about it for 71 years," Evelyn replied. She moved in 3 weeks later. The first month was a war. Melissa alternated between fury and tears. Trent left voicemails that began with, "Now listen here," and ended with slammed phones. The grandchildren were deployed with drawings of stick-figure grandmas looking sad under rain clouds. Evelyn framed the drawings and hung them on her new refrigerator. She joined the watercolor class on Tuesdays and the choir on Thursdays. She learned to play mahjong. She bought herself a red coat because she had always wanted one, and no one was there to say it was impractical. She did not give them her new address for almost a year. When she finally invited the grandchildren for an afternoon, only the grandchildren, Lily looked around the bright apartment and whispered, "Grandma, are you rich now?" Evelyn laughed until tears came. "No, darling, I'm just free." Melissa showed up unannounced one Sunday. Thinner, eyes red. She stood in the doorway clutching a casserole like a peace offering. "Mom," she said, voice small, "I'm so sorry. We were awful. I see that now. Can we start over?" Evelyn studied her daughter for a long moment. The girl who once had colic, the teenager who wore her mother's wedding dress in the mirror and danced to Whitney Houston, the woman who had turned her into a need-fulfilling ghost. She stepped aside. "Come in, I made sun tea." They sat on the balcony. Melissa cried. Evelyn listened. When Melissa finished, Evelyn said, "I forgive you, but forgiveness isn't a blank check. Some things have to be different." Melissa nodded, wiping her face with the sleeve of a coat that was 2 seasons out of date. They started with small visits. Then holidays where Evelyn hosted in her own dining room and everyone brought a dish and cleaned up after themselves. Trent took 6 months to apologize. When he finally did, it was gruff and awkward and real. Evelyn never co-signed another loan. She never added anyone to another account. She bought herself a cruise, Alaska, glaciers and whales and midnight sun, and sent postcards that simply said, "Wish you could see this." On her 75th birthday, she stood on the deck of the ship in her red coat, wind whipping her white hair, and realized she could no longer remember the exact sound of her old yes. The new word, no, was small and plain and sturdy as a river stone. She carried it in her pocket like a talisman. And every time life asked her to trade herself away, she reached for it, rolled it across her palm, and felt its cool, unbreakable weight. She was 75 years old, and she had only just begun to live.